Today we expose the 8 Tesco products you need to stop buying immediately. Items so ultra-processed that calling them food feels generous. Ingredient lists that read like they came from a factory floor. The UK is now the second largest consumer of ultra-processed foods in the world, and more than 56% of the calories British adults eat each day come from them. People who consume the most are nearly twice as likely to become obese. We went through Tesco's entire range to uncover the worst offenders hiding in plain sight. And the final product on this list is one almost every household buys without thinking. Number 8. Tesco breaded chicken nuggets. The family favourite that is barely half chicken. Tesco markets these nuggets as juicy, tender, and made with 100% chicken. The packaging shows golden, crispy bites that look homemade and wholesome. Parents throw them into trolleys without a second thought because nuggets feel safe. They feel familiar. They feel like real food, but flip the bag over and the truth emerges. These nuggets contain just 58% chicken. The rest is a construction project. Wheat flour, rapeseed oil, pea fibre, wheat starch, yeast extract, dextrose, sugar, and a collection of powdered seasonings designed to make processed meat taste like something your grandmother might have made. Think about what that means. For every 10 nuggets your child eats, more than 4 of them are not chicken at all. They are filler, binder, coating, and industrial additives stretched across a factory line. The term reformed meat is key here. These nuggets are not carved from a chicken breast. They are constructed from chopped and shaped chicken that has been mechanically processed, mixed with water and starches, then molded into uniform shapes. The texture you experience is not the texture of real chicken. It is the texture of a product engineered to mimic chicken, while using as little actual meat as possible. Real chicken nuggets require chicken, egg, breadcrumbs, and seasoning. 4 ingredients, maybe 5. Tesco's version requires 17, and the reason is simple. Real ingredients cost money. Fillers, starches, and flavour enhancers do not. The tragedy is that families trust this product. They believe the packaging. They assume that something sold in such massive volumes must be safe and nutritious. But what they are actually feeding their children is a reformed, restructured, chemically enhanced imitation of the real thing. A product that prioritizes production efficiency over nutritional value. And the health implications extend beyond just missing nutrients. When children fill up on these processed fillers, they are not getting the protein density their growing bodies need. They are consuming refined starches that spike blood sugar and industrial oils that their metabolism was never designed to process daily. And if these nuggets shocked you, what Tesco does to meat in the next item is even harder to believe. Number 7. Tesco Everyday Value Pork Sausages. The budget banger that is mostly not pork. 20 sausages for barely more than £1. It sounds like a bargain. It looks like a win for cash-strapped families trying to stretch their weekly shop. But when something seems too cheap to be true, it usually is. Tesco Everyday Value Sausages contain just 42% pork, less than half. The rest is water, rusk, pork fat, pork rind, and a chemical toolkit that includes stabilizers like tetrasodium diphosphate and disodium diphosphate. There is also sodium metabisulfite as a preservative, trisodium citrate as an acidity regulator, and ascorbic acid as an antioxidant. Compare this to Tesco's own finest range, which contains 90% pork. The difference is staggering. One sausage is real food, the other is an industrial reconstruction held together by chemistry. The rusk alone tells a story. It is a wheat-based filler used to bulk out cheap meat products. Water is injected to add weight. Stabilizers stop everything falling apart during cooking. Preservatives extend shelf life far beyond what any natural product could achieve. And flavour enhancers are sprinkled in, because without them, there would be almost no flavour at all. Traditional British sausages from a proper butcher contain upwards of 80% meat. They use natural casings. They rely on herbs and spices for flavour rather than laboratory-created extracts. They go off within days because they are real food made from real ingredients. The fact that Tesco's budget sausages can sit in a freezer for months without changing should tell you everything about what is actually inside them. This is not sausage making. This is food engineering. A product reverse engineered from a price point rather than a recipe. Millions of families buy these sausages every week, believing they are putting meat on the table. They are not. They are putting a processed blend of scraps, fillers, and additives onto their children's plates. And the worst part is that children grow up thinking this is what sausages are supposed to taste like. Their palates are being calibrated to accept artificial flavours as normal. If this is what passes for meat, wait until you see what Tesco calls cheese. Number 6. Tesco cheese singles. The slices that legally cannot be called cheese. They look like cheese. They melt like cheese. They are packaged like cheese. But Tesco's processed cheese slices are something else entirely. A factory creation that stretches the definition of dairy to its absolute limit. The ingredient list reveals the truth. Yes, there is cheese in here, 60% of it. But the remaining 40% is a blend of palm oil, water, milk proteins, emulsifying salts including sodium polyphosphate and tricalcium phosphate, modified potato starch, artificial flavourings, colours like beta-carotene and paprika extract, and lactic acid as an acidity regulator. 4 out of every 10 bites you take are not cheese at all. They are oil, starch, and chemical stabilizers designed to create a product that behaves like cheese without actually being cheese. The emulsifying salts are particularly telling. These are industrial compounds used to force ingredients together that would never naturally combine. They create that artificially smooth, rubbery texture that real cheese never has. Real cheddar crumbles. Real mozzarella stretches. These slices do neither. They sit in their plastic wrappers, uniform and unchanging, for weeks on end. Real cheese is made from milk, salt, enzymes, and cultures. It ages. It develops character. It eventually molds because it is alive with bacteria that make it delicious. Processed cheese slices are the opposite. They are designed to never change, to remain identical from the factory floor to your fridge to your mouth. That unnatural permanence is not a quality. It is a symptom of how far we have drifted from real food. Research from King's College London found that emulsifiers are present in over 6,000 food products in the UK. Studies suggest these compounds may damage the gut lining and disrupt the microbiome in ways that promote inflammation and metabolic disorders. This is not cheese with a few extras. This is a reformulated dairy product engineered for shelf stability, low cost, and maximum profit. And because it melts so conveniently on burgers and toast, millions of families never question what they are actually eating. The convenience becomes a trap. And the next item shows what happens when an entire meal is rebuilt from additives instead of ingredients. If you're learning something new here, hit subscribe and keep these eye-opening breakdowns coming. Number 5. Tesco Everyday Value Frozen Pizza. The cheap pizza built entirely on additives. A cheese and tomato pizza for pocket change. It sounds simple. Base, sauce, cheese. How complicated could it be? Very complicated, as it turns out, because Tesco's budget pizza is an exercise in industrial food science from crust to topping. The base alone contains wheat flour, water, rapeseed oil, yeast, semolina, salt, sugar, soya flour, whey powder, and a flour treatment agent. That is 10 ingredients for something that should require 4. The soya flour is a cheap protein extender. The whey powder adds bulk. The flour treatment agent chemically accelerates dough development to save time in the factory. The tomato sauce is equally revealing. Water comes before tomato puree on the ingredient list, meaning there is more water than actual tomato. Then comes corn flour as a thickener, sugar for palatability, and a cocktail of dried herbs and spice powders to simulate the flavour of a real sauce. In Italy, pizza dough contains flour, water, salt, yeast, and perhaps a drizzle of olive oil. The sauce is crushed tomatoes with garlic and basil. The cheese is fresh mozzarella. 3 components, all real, all recognisable. What Tesco sells under the Yachtstyle, same name bears almost no resemblance to that original dish. It is pizza in shape only. Even the cheese topping is a blend rather than pure mozzarella. Modified starches help it melt uniformly. Stabilizers prevent separation during freezing and reheating. The result is a pizza that can survive months in a freezer, travel hundreds of miles in a lorry, and still emerge looking exactly the same. This is food designed for logistics, not for nourishment. Every ingredient serves a purpose related to cost, shelf life, or manufacturing efficiency. The sad irony is that making pizza from scratch at home costs roughly the same and takes less than an hour. But the industry has convinced us that convenience is worth sacrificing quality. It is not. One look at the next comfort food classic shows how far the idea of real cooking has been replaced. Number 4. Tesco macaroni cheese. The comfort food, rebuilt with stabilizers and powders. Macaroni cheese should be simple. Pasta, butter, milk, cheese, maybe a touch of mustard. 5 ingredients at most. A dish so straightforward that children learn to make it at school. But Tesco's ready-made version tells a different story. The instant macaroni cheese sachet contains dried pasta, cheese powder at just 8%, maize starch, yogurt powder, flavourings, maltodextrin, whey powder, dried cream, stabilizers including sodium polyphosphate and trisodium phosphate, yeast extract, and curcumin for colour, 8% cheese powder, in a product called macaroni cheese. The rest is starch, stabilizers, and flavourings designed to simulate the experience of eating something made with real ingredients. The stabilizers create a creamy texture without using actual cream in meaningful quantities. The maltodextrin adds body. The yeast extract provides umami depth that should come from aged cheese. And the curcumin dyes everything that familiar yellow-orange colour, so it looks like the real thing even when it is not. This is what food scientists call flavour simulation. The goal is not to nourish you. The goal is to trigger the same sensory responses that real food would trigger, while using the cheapest possible ingredients. Your brain is being tricked into thinking it is eating cheese, when it is mostly eating starch and powder. Research published in journals like Gastroenterology has shown that dietary emulsifiers and stabilizers can alter gut bacteria, promote inflammation, and contribute to metabolic dysfunction. These are not inert additives. They interact with your body in ways we are only beginning to understand. Real macaroni cheese takes 15 minutes to make from scratch. Tesco's version takes 5 minutes and a microwave. But the trade-off is not just time, it is trading real food for a chemically engineered imitation. And when you feed this to children repeatedly, you are teaching their bodies to expect and crave these artificial textures and flavours instead of real ones. And the next product exposes a hidden truth about Tesco's bakery that most customers never notice. Number 3. Tesco bakery iced buns. The bakery items hiding industrial ingredients. Walk past the Tesco bakery section and you will see trays of iced buns that look freshly made. Hand-finished, the packaging says. The image evokes a local baker dusting flour from their apron. The reality is rather different. The ingredient list for Tesco iced finger buns runs to over 20 items. Wheat flour, white icing made from sugar, palm oil, water, milk sugar, emulsifiers including citric acid, esters of mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, and sorbitan monostearate, gelling agents, flavourings, and acidity regulators. Even the simple icing is a chemical construction. Palm oil provides structure, emulsifiers keep it smooth, gelling agents stop it from sliding off the bun. This is not icing as your grandmother would recognise it. This is industrial confectionery coating. The buns themselves contain additional emulsifiers, including mono and diglycerides of fatty acids and sodium stearoyl lactylate. These compounds allow factories to produce consistent products at high speed. They extend shelf life. They maintain texture during transport. But they also add to the cumulative load of processed additives that British consumers ingest every day. Most of these products are not baked fresh in store at all. They arrive frozen or par-baked from industrial facilities and are simply finished on site. The warmth you smell walking past the bakery counter is real. But the notion that someone in the back is mixing dough and kneading bread is largely an illusion. You are buying factory products presented as artisan goods. A University of Cambridge study found that emulsifiers are present in 95% of pastries, buns and cakes sold in UK supermarkets. This is not an exception. This is the norm. The word bakery on the label suggests craft and care, but the ingredient list reveals mass production, cost optimization, and chemical engineering. Real iced buns from a traditional baker contain flour, yeast, butter, sugar, eggs, and simple icing. They go stale by the next day because they are real. Tesco's version stays soft for a week because it has been engineered to defy nature. What comes next is a perfect example of how processed elements are layered together to create something that only looks fresh. Number 2. Tesco chicken and bacon pasta pot. The convenient meal, hiding preserved meats and stabilized sauces. Grab and go. Perfect for lunch. High protein. The marketing writes itself. But inside this convenient pot is a carefully engineered blend of preserved ingredients designed to last far longer than any homemade version ever could. The chicken breast sits at just 7 to 9% of the product. The smoked bacon at around 2 to 5%. Together, the headline proteins barely make up a tenth of what you are eating. The rest is pasta, water, rapeseed oil, and a supporting cast of stabilizers, preservatives, and flavor enhancers. The bacon is particularly concerning. It contains pork belly, salt, stabilizers including pentapotassium triphosphate and pentasodium triphosphate, antioxidants like sodium ascorbate and sodium nitrite as a preservative. These are the same compounds found in heavily processed deli meats that health authorities have warned about for years. Sodium nitrite has been linked to increased health risks when consumed regularly in processed meat products. The World Health Organization classifies processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, the same category as tobacco. Not because they are equally dangerous, but because the evidence of harm is equally strong. The sauces and dressings contain modified starches, citrus fibers, and rice starch to maintain texture during refrigeration. Spirit vinegar adds sharpness that should come from fresh lemon. Maltodextrin bulks out the flavouring base. A homemade chicken and bacon pasta would last 2 or 3 days in the fridge before spoiling. This product lasts weeks. That difference is not magic, it is chemistry. It is preservatives and stabilizers and modified ingredients working together to suspend the natural decay process. And every time you eat it, those same chemicals enter your body. This is convenience at a cost. A homemade chicken pasta takes 20 minutes and contains ingredients you can actually pronounce. The time saved by grabbing a pot from the chiller section is paid back in ways you cannot see. In additives accumulating in your system, in gut bacteria being disrupted, in inflammation building silently over years. And none of this compares to the final item. This one is the clearest warning of all. Number 1, Tesco chocolate chip cookies. The biscuit, where almost every ingredient is industrially processed. Cookies should be simple. Flour, butter, sugar, eggs, chocolate. A child can make them. A grandmother can make them blindfolded. They require no special equipment and no chemical expertise. But Tesco's chocolate chip cookies have been transformed into something else entirely. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry exam. Wheat flour, dark chocolate chips containing sugar, cocoa mass, palm oil, salfat, shea fat, emulsifiers including soya lecithins, ammonium phosphatides, and polyglycerol polyracinolete. Then comes more palm oil, more sugar, whey powder, partially inverted sugar syrup, raising agents, salt, and flavouring. Count the emulsifiers in the chocolate alone. 3 different compounds, all designed to create a smooth texture without using the cocoa butter that real chocolate requires. Cocoa butter is expensive. Chemical emulsifiers are cheap. Palm oil appears twice in the formula, once in the chocolate chips and once in the biscuit itself. This is not about flavour, this is about cost. Palm oil is one of the cheapest fats on earth, which is why it appears in everything from cookies to cosmetics. The partially inverted sugar syrup keeps the cookies soft and chewy for weeks, long after any homemade biscuit would have gone stale. This is not a feature. This is a warning sign. When food does not age, it means the food has been engineered to resist the natural processes that real food undergoes. Notice what is missing from this ingredient list. There is no butter. There are no eggs. These are the ingredients that make real cookies rich and satisfying. They have been replaced entirely by industrial fats, powdered dairy derivatives, and sugar syrups. The result tastes sweet. It has the right texture, but it is a simulation of a cookie rather than an actual cookie. Every component of these cookies serves the same purpose: cheaper production, longer shelf life, maximum profit. This is not baking. This is manufacturing. And every packet sold normalizes a version of food that bears no resemblance to what cookies were just 2 generations ago. Your grandparents would not recognize this as food, but your children will grow up thinking it is completely normal, and that quiet shift in expectations is perhaps the most damaging consequence of all.